Welcome to the State of the Nation. I'm your host, Mike Sham. Rejoining us, we did have a very popular interview with this gentleman quite soon after the outcome of the recent elections. And he's back again, and that is a former heavyweight in the African National Congress and Premier of Mpumalanga, the first one, and that is Mathews Phosa. Mr. Phosa, welcome back to the State of the Nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
And thanks to your viewers of the
Yeah, they're gonna love what we've got to talk about today, because it was very popular when we spoke the last time, because there was talk of the government of national unity. It was in the making. Yeah, it was a couple of days before it was announced.
Sure.
You weren't very pro that idea, but subsequently you came back into the news recently when you published a book called Witness to Power.
Witness to Power over 30 years.
Over 30 years, and
Yes.
you witnessed a lot of power.
Well, I witnessed power being used, not used, and abused.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, for a long, long time, you were very influential in the party.
A lot.
Yes. And
Lot. I was asked to play those different roles.
yes.
From the time I was pulled from the battlefield in Maputo to join President Mandela in the negotiations, it was important that all my legal skills must be put at the service of the nation.
Yes.
And I took my task very seriously until today.
And of course, being one of the initial premiers, it was a completely new concept in South Africa, because in the old South Africa, we had 4 provinces, but they had almost no power, really. They weren't administrative by nature. They handled a few things, like, I suppose, some of the things, but certainly you didn't really know who the leader was in the old Transvaal or Free State or whatever. There were more, it was done at a national and local level governance back in the old South Africa. So it's quite a new thing.
Well, the concept of fewer provinces, I support until today.
Is it?
Yeah, what we had to do is to do those 9 provinces and delegate certain powers to them and let them delegate some to the local government to the extent they can. But it was a new experience. Mandela appointed me to go to Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga was complicated. There were a lot of right-wingers there, pulling in all directions. And there's a lot of uncertainty amongst the farmers. And he said to me, you should stay in the province and address those issues and bring people together to work together. But prominently, you should interrogate the constitution as we try and implement it. Remember, that time we had an interim constitution. We didn't have a final constitution. And I began to make very serious input into the final constitution, being from Mpumalanga, looking at how things were working and not working. For example, I criticized the idea of a Senate. I said the Senate is an English relic full of old men and women who have lost their teeth. We need a body which represents the province and local government in a very direct way. That's how the National Council of Province was born.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't quite get it that in the old South Africa we had it was a parliamentary democracy. There was no constitution, Bill of Rights.
Well, Bill of Rights, you can forget.
Apartheid
Government did not understand rights except those of white people.
Yes.
Blacks didn't have rights as far as they're concerned. You could walk on us and kick us around, lock us in jail, throw us into exile. We had no rights. That's the struggle we wage to restore human rights.
Yeah.
And we insisted that the Constitution must incorporate a Bill of Rights, which assert the right of people. Before 94, and I was a practicing lawyer at that time, you have to assert a right of a human being. But after 94, the rights are stated in the Constitution. We have to enjoy those rights, and not abuse them.
Yes. And, because even if you happened to be of a lighter skin, you didn't have rights.
No.
Parliamentary, that's why people died in mysterious circumstances, more so with some of the people who are more active in the struggle. But you had a parliamentary democracy where they could just change laws almost willy-nilly.
You think of Ahmed Timor. You know, his brother was with me in Mozambique as one of the commanders. And I mean, the way they pushed him off John Foster Square.
Yeah.
And they take Neil Agate. He was white, but the way he was treated and the way he ended.
Yeah.
And there were many African people. Take Solomon Mahlangu. And of course, why was he hanged? For believing in those rights. You know, I was one of those people who was briefed by Thabo Mbeki when I left Lusaka. Make sure you stop the hanging of activists. And one of the first things we insisted on with President de Klerk was, listen, we're not going to talk unless you stop hanging people for their beliefs. And we got that victory right at the door.
Yeah.
I was given the task to go to the death rows in Pretoria. Today they call it Mampuru prison. And I walked in there, the warders let me in. And I found these activists there waiting to be hanged. And when I tell them, you're not going to hang, they said, are you mad? We're in a queue to be hanged. Someone was hanged yesterday. Are you crazy, Mr. Phosa? I said, I'm not crazy. I'm a messenger of good news. You won't hang. And at that time, you're Dieter. Remember the Dieter?
Lebowski.
Yeah. Dieter was there. Now you was helping me to explain the political agreement that, guys, believe me, you're not going to be hanged. And they were not hanged. We had to save those lives. We could not start the talks while people have been slaughtered for nothing.
Now, moving into the negotiations, you're obviously one of the legal minds. Activist almost became an important part of those negotiations, right? And that led to the Constitution, which is a fantastic constitution. Not without its... every constitution needs a bit of updating, but a wonderful piece written for its time, you know, taking the best from everywhere.
Well, I can tell you what the constitutional process was. We had our own ideas, but we had to learn from the world and not reinvent the wheel. We had teams going to Canada. I was in the team that going to Australia, teams going to Germany, to the US, and say, let's benchmark the general practice, and let's say what can be adaptable to our situation. But we had homelands here which were to unravel and break them down into new South Africa. Yeah. So that constitution was born out of our own initiative and out of world experience.
Yes.
Yes. You can take the Financial and Fiscal Commission. We took it from Australia. The IEC from Australia. We just changed certain things. For example, in Australia, if you don't vote, they criminalize not voting. Yes. We thought, no, wait a bit. Our people are not used to voting. You're not going to criminalize them. Or you have to change address, must give notice. If you don't, it's criminal. Let's cool down a bit. We're a new democracy. Let's let it face itself into the future.
And it certainly has, you know, it's not something that's going to take root overnight, but it's there. It's been in practice now for 28 years. You know, in force, and suddenly many of your erstwhile comrades saying this is a very bad document. What do you feel about that?
No, I don't have a problem with people differing with views. I support debate. I'm a Democrat.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to hear more views. That constitution could not be perfect for the next generation. Each generation will push that constitution to its own new frontiers.
Yes.
And we must welcome that. To say it's a bad constitution is be intellectually dishonest. It's a good constitution. But no constitution is perfect in the world. You know, even countries which are ruled by conventions, now and then they adjust those conventions. So let's reshape it.
But you've got some people wanting to scrap it.
Well, I'm not going to join that club of mad people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You moved on. You became premier of what was a brand new province. I mean, you know, it had been part of the bigger Transvaal province, where there had been no real direct democracy on a provincial level because the province hadn't existed. You did do one thing that was brilliant. You changed the name.
Well,
which was
interesting. We ran a game.
Yeah.
And you know, okay, who won the game?
Yeah.
The Freedom Front.
Really?
They came with the name Mpumalanga. And everybody's, but how? It's the right name.
Yeah.
You know, but what is in the name? We had to think about how do we develop this piece of land economically and to create jobs, to create wealth. And how do you unite the people here, black and white? We're saying South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. How do we live that aspiration of the Constitution? And that was our task facing us. To the extent we could, we tried.
Yes. And how do you rate the progress of Mpumalanga as an entity?
Well, let me tell you, the N4 had 2 lanes.
Yes.
I made them 4
Right.
on Maputo corridor. There was no airport like the one I built with my cabinet. That was a farm full of mud. We built an airport. The Riverside Mall did not exist. It was bush. And we had to dig that bush. Lo and behold, we found bones of people who live in that area underground. And we excavated those bones to the Department of Archaeology at VET. Then after that, we built that beautiful mall. The only province with a beautiful parliamentary and government complex is in Mpumalanga. We built that. And when I said, guys, let's build this thing, one-stop service for everybody, cut the cost of chain, moving around with bicycle and cars to deliver an email or a letter. They said, but you're crazy. But look today, they love it. It's a beautiful center.
Yeah.
And then mushroomed industrial development, motor city, residentials. It's a beautiful thing. You can look at Malelani, it's grown on both sides of the road. Komatipo, it's the same thing. Going up the N4 today, it's a pleasure. You know, people opposed toll gates. I said, go to hell. You're not going to drive a Mahala here. Someone must maintain the road. They got used to the toll gate there. You have to take decisive decisions.
And I mean, here we are at this time where Mbombela, Nelspruit, is probably the fastest growing city in South Africa, isn't it?
But we calculated it.
Yeah.
I said to Chamber of Businesses, I'll make Nelspruit the capital if you invest. You have to invest. Then, of course, they are investing. But all money, which was dominating the leases and everything, was sulking. So when we built with All Mutual, the Riverside Mall, there was again anger. Are you pulling the customers out of town into a new nowhere in the forest? What happened? The motor cities evolved. They all now came to the same no man's land and built the biggest, nicest restaurant. You know, a lot of buildings are there, hotels, everything. They're forgotten. Nelspruit, when you go northward, it's like a new city.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been unbelievable, the development there, and even to the point where, you know, socially and in some things like sport.
Yeah.
Sadly, not football, because we had Witbank Black Aces that were a very good team, and we
lost Witbank Black Aces.
But you did get the Pumas rugby team that even won the Currie Cup a few years back. Yeah.
My daughter was sitting on the board of Puma, and I was very proud of the Puma rugby club.
Right, and then along comes the end of the beginning, when you know, South Africa starts settling in on itself, and Thabo Mbeki is president, and the country's growing, but so is unhappiness in the party.
Well, what happened there, which was unnecessary in my view, Mbeki was a good president. Give him credit. He mastered the economy. You know, he's a good economist and a master of strategy. Give it to him. The only problem I saw at that time, not only how he handled HIV and AIDS, was a disaster.
Yeah.
But many people died. More than 300,000 people died. They didn't have to die if we allowed common sense to prevail. And he was the president. The buck stopped with him. You know. And then there was the issue of seeing an enemy everywhere, at every corner. You know, me and Tokyo and Cyril Ramaphosa, current president, were accused of plotting to kill him and overthrow him based on nothing. There was an investigation that took a year under Jekisi Lebe. Steve Jobs was very embarrassed at the end after having announced this nonsense. They said, he calls me, says, listen, may his soul rest in peace, because he can't respond to what I'm saying. He said to me, we were wrong, I apologize. I said, go to TV and apologize. You were on TV when you announced that there's a plot. He did go to TV and apologize. And before he died, he phoned me and said, I want to come home to apologize to your children and your wife for what happened. Unfortunately, he got sick along the way. And you know what I did? I went to the hospital to see him, to take him flowers, to say, I accept your apology. And after I left, a few days later, he passed on.
Now that, I remember it clearly. It was kind of a crazy allegation that, you know, I'm nowhere near the action, but it just sounded completely...
It's political paranoia.
Yeah.
You fear your own shadow, or you fear the shadow of your colleagues.
And
we're not met with Tokyo for 3 years. When did we conspire? Not even Cyril. When did all of us conspire? But we are supposed to be involved in a plot which never existed.
I suppose paranoia is the right term. But of course, that did do some. The party seemed to lose its collective mind around that time.
Yeah, and of course
economy's growing. Why were people that unhappy?
And of course, you have a situation where I can't judge. I'm not sitting in judgment of anything. Mbeki felt justified to dismiss Zuma as his deputy president. He had the duty to relieve him of his duties. That was the phrase is used, and that caused bitterness in the ANC. There are those who supported Mbeki, there are those who opposed him. And of course, when you're going to a national consultative conference in Pretoria, at the University of Pretoria, the lines of divisions were demarcated, you know, and they insisted he's not going to resign as deputy president of the ANC. He's going to stay, you know. So in the government, he was fired. The ANC remained deputy president, and the build-up from there to the conference of Polokwane was bloody, and that's why I'm saying in my book, the ANC was killed and buried at Polokwane.
Yeah, because, I mean, from there on, it's just...
We never recovered from those wounds. The behind-the-scenes attempts to reconcile the two leaders, they came to naught. Yeah, and then it's unfortunate, but they came to naught. But the casualty of Polokwane continued to sit in its grave from that Polokwane. And the ANC, until today, is terribly divided.
Yeah, and let's not talk about... let's also mention the bigger casualty, that was the Republic of South Africa.
Yes.
Because, you know, the country had economic growth. We were eating into unemployment. The country was riding high. Everything was moving forward. So, you know, it's easy to say that the ANC suffered. Well, good for the ANC. Everybody still got their fat salaries. But the country itself, you know, certainly what was a flourishing economy literally hit the wall and has never recovered.
It's never recovered. But it's because of our misdeeds.
Yes.
And of course, corruption began to rear its ugliest head.
Yeah. But now let's go back to the divisions.
Yes.
The divisions that led to Polokwane, because you were at that point still very influential. Which side did you sit on?
I supported Zuma.
Yeah.
Kosaro supported Zuma. We believe that this picking up of comrades and criminalizing them need to stop. We did not accept that. Little did we pay attention to Zuma's weaknesses, which later showed.
Well, they didn't later show. Let's be fair. We knew those weaknesses from way before. Those weaknesses were there for all to see. What is it that you were seeing that we weren't seeing? We saw a sort of a person ill-suited to the job that had these tendencies.
Well, at the time, you're speaking to a lawyer. There were allegations. And I don't want to graduate allegations to facts. So I speak my mind carefully. Yes.
I'm not a lawyer.
So, yeah, you must be the best person not to be a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. I remember the arms deal. I remember a lot of things. And
but what happened to arms deal? Many people were implicated. I say implicated. Mark my word. I'm not saying to be involved. Even Mbeki was implicated, but he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, Zuma was implicated. Why has he not been charged until today? Where is the conviction against him? We have got this thing in the air, and people are using this thing to settle scores and to hammer each other. They throw mud at each other.
So at that point in time, you thought this guy's actually just been labelled with tags. They can't be proven. He doesn't seem like such a bad guy.
On the face of it, it didn't appear. It looked like a plot of Mathews, Phosa, Tokyo, and Cyril. That is a perpetuation of settling of scores, which was intolerable.
Yes.
Yeah, very intolerable. I don't like that. I think people must be allowed free flow of ideas. Democracy demands on an oxygen of ideas. And once you stave off that exchange of ideas, you say, my idea is only one. You're killing democracy. Yeah. Lenin said Rosa Luxemburg said to Lenin, Comrade Lenin, democracy is my right to have you defend my point of differences with you. That's democracy.
And that's why he decided not to become a Democrat, Mr. Lenin.
Yeah, he became what he became.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously, and in many ways, the roots of State of the Nation was a live event, was to try and get an absolutely befuddled business sector to understand this suicide that the country was walking into. You know, with this flawed individual becoming president seemingly with none of the attributes that you wanted as a president.
Well, it emerged dramatically when the spotlight fell on Nkandla. And of course, there was this court decision which was very damning.
Yes.
And I was at Palabora about to address the Chamber of Commerce there. And I added a paragraph in my statement. And I said, the empire is naked. I said, Mr. President, step down. And that created huge animosity. But I said it because I thought it was the right thing to say.
Yeah, but I'm still confused. You've got to help me here. I'm still confused because I've been dying to get somebody who was there at the time to say, just to ask, what was going through your minds that you thought this guy was capable of being president?
At the time, we had not seen, as I said, we lost sight of the weaknesses. We overemphasized the victimness of the guy and the victimness of many other people. We thought, maybe it's just being targeted. And we made a mistake. I'm saying we made a mistake.
Yeah. Okay, so you got behind him and almost immediately he got to work with some of the people that were his backers, his supporters. And once again, you I suppose, didn't expect to come up with what you saw with the Guptas getting involved and so on.
I didn't even know how they looked like until he showed me the face of the Guptas. I was just being elected at that conference as treasurer. You know, the challenge for the treasurer of the ANC in December is that you've got your monthly expenses and you've got January 8th expenses. So, and when I walk in there, I don't want to talk much about the finances, but they didn't look very impressive. That's how I would want to put it. So he said to me, follow me. I follow him. And I did not know where I'm following him to. And he led me to this big gate, wooden gate. They opened like a palace. And I walked in with him, and I found this gentleman, Atu, Tony, and his other brothers. I had never seen them before in my life. And then he introduced them to me. He says, they might help you to raise funds as treasurer. I said, oh, welcome. I want every cent I can find to deal with the debts in the party and to get the party good machinery oiled and going. But he left us there. And the first thing they said, I said to them, guys, let's put together 10 top Indians in India. You know them. Let's get them to give me checks. Checks were still there at that time. They said, no, we'll do it. Let's go to Dubai, open an account, and, of course, get the money in. We went after they opened the account, and Tony says, Gigi, listen, let's agree. 1/3 of this money is ours to Guptas. The other 1/3 is for Baba. The 1/3 is for the ANC. I was enraged. I was angry. I said, no, it cannot be like that. I'm only raising money for the ANC, not for you or any other individual. I politely walked away, took the first plane to South Africa, and never saw him again. And all this drama unfolding, I was not talking to him. And one day, a lady came with a form for me to sign, to remove my signature. You know, you remove your signature with a signature, but you don't know what is in the bank account. You may be releasing money to some other people you don't know. I said, I'm not signing. Just get out of my office. She left. That was the end.
And did you ever find out what was in the bank account?
I was not interested.
Yeah.
I thought the discussion with Tony put me off, and I don't want to know more. Yeah, because I felt like these guys are pushing their own self-interest.
Was there any legacy of paying commissions to people that raised funds for the ANC?
Under my rule?
Yeah.
No.
Or ever?
No.
You know.
I did not need that. I had the best friends all over the world, especially in the Arab world. I broke new ground in the African world. I had, one time, one businessman gave me 600 million for our elections, and all I needed was 400 million. So I was raising money in a very vibrant way. I made friends, and they're still my friends even today, you know.
And when people make those kind of donations, what is the quid pro quo?
There's no quid pro quo. There's no quid pro quo. You could have a good political interaction on matters. There's no one say, do this for me, I'll pay 600 million. There's no quid pro quo.
But surely nobody hands over that sum of money without some kind of expectation.
I'll give an example. The king at Muscat gave me $5 million. He's never seen me, he's never met me. He only heard about me. But they told him whatever they told him. He said, no, I want to support this man. One Egyptian guy called Saleh, I was hardly, during Zuma's inauguration, Our ambassador said, Saleh wants to meet you. You think you're making a good statement? So I flew to Sharm el-Sheikh. He picked me up in Cairo. I went there. He said, no, young man, you're a good leader. Let's spend the weekend. I want to teach you about Egypt. He is rich, he's wealthy, doesn't need anything from me. But he gave me $100,000, which I didn't ask for. And the ambassador said, you want to give a donation? Certain thing. Gaddafi, you want to talk about him? He made contributions. But I asked for money, but I didn't tell him how much I want. But he gave me what he wanted to give me. And I gave it to the NC. I can go on and on.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I think there's a lot of people that are kind of horrified by those numbers, because now we do have supposedly declarations.
Oh, that's very good. I initiated the declarations. I had workshops on them. I got EY to benchmark the whole world democracies to say, what is the practice in the world? And they came with a very nice report, comprehensive. I'm going to give credit to EY, but they were doing my internal audit in the NC all the time. I brought big firms, Deloitte and Touche, we do external, so that we can clean up the mess. And we debated it in workshop with all the treasurers in the country. Then my term came to an end. Then my successor took it forward into legislation. I'm proud of that piece of legislation, which called, we don't want to have unknown masters manipulating your democracy.
Yeah.
We don't want that. It's not good for any country.
Yeah, because those are large sums of money that change hands. And
but I was the first to initiate this legislation. No one thought about it before. But together with other treasurers of the provinces, we worked on it at the end.
Yeah.
And we put it on the table. It was for parliamentarians to refine it. And it was interesting how the opposition climbed on it. And of course, it was good. We all participated in putting limits and ceilings. The German system was very good in clearly saying you can't go beyond this ceiling. And I liked it.
Okay, so if we roll back to when you were Treasurer General getting these sums of money, at that point in time, the ANC was almost unchallenged in terms of its support.
Nothing, and the goodwill was good. And I warned, when the corruption started to raise ugly head, I warned at the official level, guys, donors won't give money to an ANC which is corrupt. We need to guard jealously the ANC's image. And I'm still repeating it today. If you study books on fundraising, and I've studied quite a number of them, my favorite is What a Party by McAuliffe, who raised the biggest amount of money in the US. Donors buy values, aspirations, what you stand for. They will not support you if they hear every day you are corrupt, you're stealing. They will think you steal their money. So if you are a treasurer, I don't care whether ANC or what, you need to have a party with a good image.
Yes.
Yes. If you damage the image, you damage the possibility of funding.
Now, you were Treasurer General until 2012.
Yes.
It? Now, at that point in time, there were all kinds of rumors swirling around. Another one of those questions you're dying to ask, like, did nobody read newspapers or watch television, or what does it feel like inside there when the whole country is saying the system, this is out of control, and everybody in the party is saying, well, nobody's been sent to jail, no policeman's come knocking at my door?
What are you referring to now?
I'm referring to the endemic, or not endemic at that point, the corruption which is burgeoning at that point. The
corruption burgeoned under our noses.
Yes.
And largely by us.
Yep.
By us.
But the rest of us were this was being broadcast live on television.
Yeah, we're praying God, those who are corrupt should be arrested. The same thing with Zondo. And that's how Zondo came in. Yeah. Zondo was not brought in by the DA, it was brought in by the ANC.
Yeah.
And Zondo made findings. The problem with Zondo is where we are now. There are quite a number of people working in cabinet and everywhere who are implicated.
Right.
And that's a problem for me.
Okay, so let's talk about law enforcement, because one of the things that was the first act of the Zuma presidency was to collapse the Scorpions.
Yeah.
And you as the influential person, especially on the legal side, what did you feel about that decision?
I felt good. I'll tell you why. The Scorpions were highly abused during the time of those who were in power. They were abused. They were weaponized, and the people allowed themselves to be abused, and no one accepted that. I didn't accept that.
But their rate of their success rate was unparalleled.
I don't agree. They were very vindictive and selective.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very. I don't want to mention people's names.
So we went from being vindictive and selective to nothing.
Exactly, to nothing. Because if you had implemented Zondo, you would be somewhere else. But we have not really fully implemented Zondo.
So do you think we should resurrect a Scorpion-like organization?
Yes, I do. But it must be professionals. You know, I came from intelligence. I know when an officer is not professional and when he's professional. You know.
Yeah. So, and obviously should be kept outside of the political realm, which is always hard to do.
Very hard, but politicians run these things.
Because and politicians, the last thing they want is effective law enforcement. And
I wanted effective law enforcement because I had nothing to fear.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have something to fear, yes, you won't want it. But it will pick up on you as well.
But Mathews, now surely you're sitting there in an organization where you're about the only one that wants effective law enforcement.
No, I think there are many. Let's give credit to the many ANC people there, not making noise, not claiming easy victories, who oppose corruption. To begin to say every member of the ANC is corrupt is to make a false statement.
Well, is it because the ANC, it seems to be that there's two kinds of members, those that are corrupt and those that run interference for any law enforcement.
They run interference? How do they do it? I'm not aware of that.
Well, you know, if we take the current situation where so many people that were fingered by the Zondo Commission, you know, the President Ramaphosa has put them straight back into the cabinet, straight back into leadership positions in the ANC. People voted for them.
But I'm saying it's not correct.
Yes.
I'm telling you it's not correct.
So surely,
but he has the duty to follow up on Zondo and say, is there really something here? And he can't do it himself. He must get law enforcement like the SIU and the NPA to go into those things and say, guys, let's dig. Zondo has given us indication. It's the duty of the president to do it. Yes.
Why do you think he won't do it?
I don't know. One day when you have him, you must ask him.
I think he's got no chance of getting him here. But in any case, because obviously, you know, that's why I say by implication, and the country spoke at the last election where they said, you know, it's all fair and well to say there's many people that would welcome law enforcement. Well, where are they?
Yeah, but again, the elections of 2024 were a pronouncement against failure to deal with certain things. One, it was at the time load shedding. Two, it was corruption. Three, it was unemployment. We can go on and on. But people protested and they lost confidence in political parties and in the ANC. The ANC was 57% the last election before 24. To dive it down to 40, you should scratch your head and say, what's wrong with me? You know, it's a loss of confidence. And from my reading of the situation, if the ANC does not reverse that, it will go to 26%. And there are international surveys which say so. So it's not just Matthew Phosa. So the ANC has to do something to cap the bad image.
Do you think they're doing it?
Well, there's a difference between talking of renewal and actually renewing. There's a big gap between I want to renew and to walk the talk of renewal. The ANC needs to walk the talk of renewal and deal with the issues which are outstanding from Zondo Commission.
But you know better than most that the first talk of renewal happened in the 1990s.
Yeah, but that's why I say it's easy to talk about renewal. Action speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
So we had that discussion in our last interview. We spoke about the government of national unity. We can call it whatever we will, but the ANC did duly sign the deal that we were discussing the last time, and you've got what we've got at the moment. Do you think it's been a good move, firstly for South Africa and secondly for the ANC?
I think the ANC here is not a factor. It's South Africa that is a factor. The issue of stability of the country is very critical for me. The issue of international confidence in our system, in our constitution, in our government is important to me. If the ANC plays that role of bringing everybody together around the table, I welcome it. You know my views about it was not the GNU, it was working with the DA. I had reservations. It's I'm on the record. I don't regret my views. Because if I differ from you, you have no reason to call me an enemy. I have the right to differ from you.
Yeah.
So Now I'm a realist, accept that the GNU is here. Will it work forever? I think there's a honeymoon here. And we need to be careful. The few noises we hear from Auntie and others, you know what I'm talking about, are not healthy for the stability of the GNU. I will urge that those who put their signature there must live up to the values of their signature. The country is not interested in petty politics. We want to move on. We want to move on.
Do you think that some of the appointments were done and some of the moves that were done were within the spirit of what should have been done from the ANC side? Because they seem to absolutely have the DA over a barrel, and my Lord, they squeezed as hard as they could. And, now obviously it's become quite fashionable to point at the auntie, right, because she makes a lot of statements. But, they got shortchanged very, very badly in the negotiation.
Oh, the DA?
Yeah.
They asked for it.
They asked to be shortchanged.
Yes, because they knew that they were not going to be the only party signing that document. Because if you talk about unity cannot be complete with only them and the NC. There are many other parties.
Okay,
and we encourage many parties.
Then should it have been proportional then?
No ways. No one guaranteed that document.
So because it's not in the document, it sort of was meant to be in the spirit, wasn't it?
No, but the Constitution is a dominant decider. It says the president has got the prerogative to appoint a cabinet.
Yeah, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, because it wasn't agreed to in this document, therefore you got screwed over, sorry for you, but now will you please stop moaning?
No, you sign the document.
Yeah. The
framework, which is the supreme law, is Constitution. That document cannot supersede the Constitution. No. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
Yeah, and Cyril, as the president, had to decide on his cabinet. But he pushed the spirit of bringing things together. Give him credit. It's hard to bring things together. It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
You ain't going to get credit from me. I'll tell you why.
Why?
A very simple thing. Let's leave the peripheral parties out of it, because that we understand was just put in as lubrication for the main deal, right? Because this is a coalition, we understand it. The one gets 40%, the other one gets 20%. Logic says you get 2 ministers, I get 1. Right? You know what I mean? That's fair, right? Instead, it's sort of 80%. Definitely not within the spirit. When the fair dues is 66%, 33%. You know what I'm just saying?
I want to respond to you by saying I've not done the GNU arithmetic, so you'll pardon me. I just see the president putting a team that works together, and if the team works, the country is happy. And you saw the rand became strong at that time.
Yeah, but clearly the team isn't working, and I'll tell you why the team isn't working. The team isn't working because the key blockages to the country, the key blockages being around the economy. Obviously, we've got this interesting foreign affairs regime where we are not necessarily dealing in the interests of the South African economy, but these are the levers that are being held by the ANC, and nothing has changed. So we've got a minister of mining that won't give mining licenses, for example. It's an easy one to
I'm one of those lawyers in the city of Johannesburg who specialize in mining and know it backward. The minister does issue mining licenses. He does issue permits. There's new players on the block. I'm not defending it. I'm talking about what I experienced as a practicing lawyer. I've opened many mines for young black people, boys and girls, men and women, and the new licenses are being issued.
When are those mines going to start?
They have started some of them. The question is, how do you match capital with those poor blacks who don't have money? It's always the issue. Others can't go to the extent of finding permits. They trade. And one must encourage trade. For one small and medium-sized business to thrive in mining, in agriculture, and in all other sectors of the economy. No, the Minister of Minerals and Energy does issue mining rights.
And do you think the moves on things like the National Health Insurance and the Bella Bill or the Bella Act, was in the spirit of the Government of National Unity?
Well, they have decided to do that. But the question for me is not who's decided to do that. It's whether we can afford it.
Well, we know we can't, and we know why it's been done.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It hasn't been done in the interests of South Africa because it's a wish. It's a wish. It's not. There's no reality here.
I'm not schooled in that. My simple logic tells me if you decide on something, you must be able to fund it.
Yeah, that's fine. Never mind funding it. We've got a problem that'll happen before then. And that is by time that does go the next step, we'll have no medical professionals left in the country.
I'm not sure.
I can guarantee
we were told stories in 1994. Some guys who ran away to overseas. They've come back.
Not really.
A lot of them, when they go away, they make noise. When they come back, they're very quiet. Yeah, the guy from whom I bought a farm in Hazelview was angry. He said his heart fall. He was an AWB member. He went to stay in Australia. He left his children here. You know what happened? He's back. You know, there are many examples like that. And I said,
but I don't think he's back as a brain surgeon.
And I said to him, welcome. Welcome here. I didn't laugh at him. He's rooted here.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful country. We must make it work.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just the government of national unity is, it's kind of being managed to fail the way it looks. You got the debacle of what happens here in Gauteng.
What happened?
And now cities are well, we know what happens. You know, and that I think is a domestic ANC issue, isn't it? Where the Premier of Gauteng quite clearly is making a political statement by the way he's managing Gauteng. The metros are collapsing. You know, what's going to happen with these Eskom bills, and we've got, you know, the water issues looming.
They didn't start with the current Premier of Gauteng. He found most of the stuff there.
Yeah.
His duty, and he says so publicly, is to fix what is broken. And he needs to be given a chance. This is only 100 days plus.
Yeah.
He must be allowed to. He means well, that guy. There's no record of corruption around him so far. You know.
You really do have to wait for proof before you
you wait for allegations and you judge people.
Yeah, I can. You know, I've got a big nose. I can smell things. But anyway, that's
good luck to you.
Yeah.
I want to have a big nose one day and smell people.
It's too late for you, sir. It's too late for you. But you know, we do have some issues in South Africa. What do you make? We spent the first part talking a lot about what led up to Polokwane and what happened in the aftermath of Polokwane.
Yes.
What do you make of the same person, Jacob Zuma, being so influential of the politics now and claiming membership of the ANC while he leads another party?
Well, Zuma was very outspoken against people who did that. You know, not even who left the party, like Malema, Holomisa. He attacked them very viciously. So what he has done is exactly what he used to attack. Now, there's an issue of integrity there and credibility on his part. I think even the ANC should not overreact to him. They should just ask him to go away and run his party and then let him do what he wants to do. He's fighting to be a member of the ANC. It's a ploy to whip up emotions. That's all. And play victim where he shouldn't be playing victim. He's very good at that. But the ANC should let MK be, you know, and not try to chase MK like we're chasing rats out of your house. It's there. It's the reality, MK. And we don't know. Now it's the biggest opposition in parliament. And the other day, someone was asking me, I won't mention names, who must be after the president? I said, the second biggest party. That's what the rules say. It happened to be MK. So you have to stomach that. The KZN, we haven't seen the movie yet. When the local government comes, because MK is still very populist and popular there, we don't know what dramas are going to come up there in different municipalities. We don't know. It's anybody's guess, but it's not for the comfort of the NC.
Yeah, but what is it telling you about where South Africans are? That Jacob Zuma, after all he's been through and after everything that has swirled around him for 20-something years, even though you only saw the last bit of it, what do you make of him getting supported to the degree he's being supported?
Well, I still want to do a study about that. Some people have described it in manners which are not correct, but it's quick judgment, okay? Sometimes
so describe it in the manner in which it is correct.
It's not correct.
I'm saying, tell us what is correct then.
It is easy to say, and some people made that mistake. It's tribally based, but it's not true. Mm-hmm. It's not true. It's a mixture of people from different walks of life. But it's the crust of disillusioned NC members. Mm. So he's fishing in the troubled waters of the NC, and he knows them, and he's fishing smart. And the people follow him. Look now, even EFF people are crumbling into MK. They've been given the most senior positions. But interesting that one lady, I won't mention the name again, who went there, said to me yesterday, it's a boys' club. That isn't that what having peeped into it, he says, is a boys' club. Let's wait. Time will tell.
Now, just lastly on this, Mathews, once again, I'm trying to get into the mind of what happens in the ANC collective, right? That you don't see corruption when you see Jacob Zuma until it's too late. You don't see an election defeat until it's too late. You don't see 50% unemployment until it's too late. Don't see load shedding until it's too late. We've got a terrible problem of unemployment in this country.
It's true.
And it's a disgrace.
It's very true. It's linked to the economy not growing.
Yes,
the way it should.
And it's a leadership issue. We understand.
I accept that it's a leadership issue.
Now,
but the fact that ANC sees things when they have happened is not true. I'm challenging you on that one. Certain things happened which were not foreseen. I didn't foresee that the Nkandla would turn out the way it turned out. I didn't. I couldn't. I don't think anyone knew that's what's going to until the Constitutional Court pronounced on Nkandla. So we can't say it's a sweeping statement to say we only.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stand by my sweeping statement.
Well,
I've been a citizen.
I'm a Democrat. Yeah. I give you the right to make wrong statements.
Right. I'll make the wrong statement, but I turned out so. Maybe I backed the right horse for the wrong reason. But the thing is, it was fairly obvious to anybody that was alert what was going on. But
I did not know, right, that there would be load shedding in this country. Now you're telling me the ANC knew there would be load shedding.
Yeah, because and the former president has owned up to that. Yeah, because he was told there was going to be load shedding.
I didn't know about the load shedding. I didn't know that the unemployment would be 80% the way it is today. You must be a prophet to have known.
No, all of these things are unbelievably easy to forecast, and I can make more forecasts.
When are you going to die?
No,
when are you going to die? Because you're forecasting.
No, we're not going to forecast that just
yet.
Let's talk about the stuff that we can forecast.
No, you're running away. I'm showing you a simple thing.
No, I think that's a silly thing because that's in the hands of the man above. But what I'm saying is there's stuff that's under our own control.
Yeah, but you can say whatever it is. There are certain things which are predictable. There are those which are not predictable.
Yes, but we talk about things that were eminently predictable.
Some of the things were not predictable.
Of course it was. Why did management of Eskom tell President Mbeki that we needed to grow our capacity for electricity in 2001? He knew it. He had the report and he decided not to do anything about it, right? He even apologized himself, right? I'm not making this up. It was forecast because you can see the growth.
But what brought the lights back?
What brought the lights back? Two things bring the lights back. Number one, the economy has halved. So you need less electricity. Then on the other side of the scale, you've got some renewable 6 stages of load shedding on people's roofs at the moment, right? And I had Mteto Nyati here recently, and it's very simple. There's the coal, there's the station, keep the station running, keep the coal delivered, and the lights will stay on. And he's managed to do that. It's not that difficult. He did nothing that wasn't absolutely easy to predict. Absolutely.
Now, the same way you put it as what happened with Mteto Nyati is a very good friend of mine.
Yes.
It will happen with other things that look like challenges now. They will be fixed.
But do we have to wait for them to break?
No. They must, I'd say they're broken. They must be fixed.
Okay, but now there's a big problem here.
Yeah.
And it's the burning issue. And that is the issue around unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no mechanism to fix that in this country any longer. Right? We have lost investment status. Right? In other words, we've got a whole lot of unemployed people. Where could we possibly employ them? Right? We can't possibly employ them. I'll tell you why. Mining is no longer the employment place that it used to be, where we used to have hundreds of thousands of men going underground. Now you've got machines that go underground. Right? So, in other words, we can never grow it the way it used to be back in those days. Agriculture is getting increasingly mechanized, which leaves us only with manufacture, right? Now, we're going to have to go and manufacture and compete with countries like China, Vietnam, India, in what day and what world. If we do manage to get manufacture, our grid will fall over. So I can tell you categorically, once again, I make forecasts, it's impossible.
I want to tell you, there's nothing impossible until it is done. Madiba was right. in the mining space, the more we issue out mining rights, the more we create jobs. And that's what the Minister of Mining is doing. In agriculture, the more we bring the poor black people who are getting their land back into production, give them farming skills, the more we increase the food basket, the more we create jobs. We should not be desperate and throw our arms out. That's not leadership. Leadership demands we embrace the challenges and correct the problems which are there. And I'm not intimidated by the economy where it is. If we promote the investment on a platform in the country, there will be more confidence and there will be more money coming in. I think everyone is working towards that. I don't know of one party which works against that.
No, we're all working towards it. But I think what we should also do is we should open our minds up to what is in front of our faces. Right? Let's open our eyes up.
No, but that's correct. But you're not allowing me to speak. It's like I'm interviewing you now. The fact of the matter is, we know the problem, we must find the solutions. And we should not be desperate or hysterical in finding solutions. That's not leadership. Leadership stays calm, analyze the problem, find solutions, and move on. I think that's what we should do.
In his very first State of the Nation address, President Ramaphosa spoke about somebody who may or may not exist, by the name of Sipho Nkosi, who apparently was going to cut red tape. Right? It then sort of quietly went away, and I don't know if Sipho Nkosi, maybe you know him, maybe he exists, maybe he doesn't.
I know him very well.
Maybe he couldn't find a scissors.
I know him very well.
Right? But not one piece of red tape has been cut in South Africa. We've just had more and more laws.
I'm not going to be able to comment on Sipho. I hold him in very high regard. He's a very dignified businessman in this country and has created organizations like Exaros. Big employers. So I don't want to.
I would love to interview him.
Yeah, please interview him and just Sipho on the facts. He's done very well. Exaro is one of the biggest companies in this country.
What red tape did he cut? He was the red tape cutting czar.
Well, you're going to talk to Sipho. You're going to invite him and ask him about the red tape he cut. Well, don't make me Sipho. Yes. I'm not. I'm Matthew Phosa. Yeah. But I'm saying I've got high respect for Sipho Nkosi. He's a brilliant businessman. He's done very well. He's built one of the biggest companies in this country in mining and created a lot of jobs in Popo, in Mpumalanga, and everywhere else. Give him credit. We don't want to give him credit. I do.
That wasn't the role that I was speaking to him about. But what I do want to do is I want to say to you, Mathews, very last question. Are you upbeat about where South Africa finds itself right now?
I'm not, but I'm not a defeatist. I think we must fix it. This democracy must work, not for our sake, for the sake of our children and next generations. We cannot afford to have this democracy failing. Some of us have sweated on this democracy, and it was not in vain. It would be an act of betrayal not to make the democracy work.
Well, there you have the very wise words of a very wise man who has had a front row seat to the development of the new South Africa, and he writes about it in his book, Witness to Power. Go out and get it. It is a page turner. You can get to see the other side of all the stuff that we've lived through for the last 30 years by somebody that was there. Mathews Phosa, once again, thank you so much for joining.
Am I allowed to shake your hand, sir? Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you for the platform. Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And hopefully we get you here again. And to everybody that joined us, to Pace Car Rental that sponsor us, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers. And we'll see you again on the State of the Nation. Thank you.